I think initially I had mentioned that we also will have a customer session where one of our customer will share his experience of having gone through some parts of the solutions that we've been talking about. Uh, so with that, I would like to call on stage Uday Tangde. He's the enterprise architect at Airtel. Uh, I think Airtel doesn't need any introduction. How many of you are already using Airtel? Fantastic. So the most popular network in the country and even the room. So Uday is a enterprise architect, more than 15 years of industry experience, uh, almost 10 years as an enterprise architect. He's worked mainly with the telcos across India, Europe, Middle East, and Africa. Currently based in Gurgaon, and importantly, he's our also our customer. He uses one of our solutions. So let me get into a chat with him, and I'm sure it'll be something that'll be useful and insightful for all of us. Thanks Uday, for joining. Thank you very much. I think we'll have to make do with this. I was told that there is. Can we? Yeah.
Am I audible?
Yeah, you're on. So I was told that we only have one hair, one whatever that collar mic. So I said it'll look odd that you are wearing the mic and I'm not, or vice versa. So I said let's do with this. So Uday, I think from a personal introduction, we all understand you're an enterprise architect at Airtel. Lot of industry experience across telcos. For a lot of us here, enterprise architect is something that's a fairly evolving field. Uh, a lot of companies don't even have that as a role. So, what does a day in a life look like for you as an enterprise architect?
So, thank you for the opportunity, Anand. And it's very different. I have, like I mentioned, I worked with multiple customers abroad as well, and now I'm working in India. And I can tell you for sure how an enterprise architect is looked at in Europe or in some other geography, and how it is looked at here are two different things.
Absolutely.
Okay, and then it's up to the culture, and it's not right or wrong about it, because that's how industries operate. So, for example, there is a lot of black and white clarity, and you know what you're doing in a European market, but you don't have the same pace. Okay,
Right.
but in this market we have a lot of pace. We achieve things a lot faster, but we don't have those set targets that we usually look to have. Like, so there you are not going to one target, and I think Craig mentioned it. So you don't have to become a butterfly always.
Right.
And I think the industry and the geography believes in that. You keep evolving and you find a better place, and you are not chasing the same that somebody else has done.
Right,
That's why
right.
we have a lot of startups as well in our
Yeah,
country
absolutely.
now coming up, because they're trying to achieve more than what is there. So
Absolutely.
coming back to the day in life in India, in Airtel for now, we have two parts of the job. One is making sure that we are addressing the demands of the market.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
we are bringing in that demand and making sure the multiple pieces in the organizations are delivering it.
We have a lot of demanding customers here.
Yeah,
So,
absolutely. Yeah. So that is the first part,
Yeah.
which usually comes under the bracket of solution architecture,
Okay.
defining the solutions, making sure that each segment of the industry, each segment of the teams are doing what is required to enable it. And the second part is the core enterprise architecture, where we have uh, what end state we are getting to, what are the measurable values that we are going to deliver. Like, for example, one of the 9 second to 1 second example. So
Yeah,
we
yeah.
also have TATs where we had 180-day TAT for an enterprise order to be delivered at some point. So we are chasing 10-day TAT now. So that's the change. So those are the type of metrics we put, and we work towards it. And that is where we have to align. So the example that I use there is, you have a fast train which has an end destination which is far, and then you have multiple pit stops. So we do work on both.
Okay.
The multiple
Okay.
pit stops and
Okay.
the longer and the destination that we are going to. So we manage both.
Fantastic. And who are your like end customers internally?
So all the organization parts. So it's business for sure. They
Okay.
are the ones who enable the numbers. We have IT
Okay.
who need to understand what they need to do next, what they are, and I think that is where most of the work goes, at least in this geography.
Okay.
And then we have finance, we have regulatory,
Okay.
we have operations.
Okay.
So these are the different areas within the enterprise that
Okay.
we work with. And the customers per se, we usually look at business as the customer or regulatory as the customer. And the key stakeholders that look for direction from us are like IT and operations. They look for direction for us
Okay.
most of the time.
Okay, fantastic. And you mentioned that solutioning, creating the architecture, and getting the needs from the various business stakeholders. And I understand you finally decided to go for a tool to manage the enterprise architecture. But before that, if I were to take a step backwards, what are the typical 3 or 4 challenges that as an enterprise architect one would face in a organization like, and it's I think Airtel is like amongst the top organizations in the not just in the country but also now globally. So what were those challenges so that some of them could be common to other industries as well. Some of them could be specific to Airtel and to telecom.
So I think the most prominent issue that the organization had was having a single window. So there were multiple programs that were running, and the transformation is something that doesn't start and end. So there is a transformation happening in every area of the business at a given point. So there was no single window to see what is happening, and because it is important that such a large organization has to align with each other, run in harmony, it requires that visibility of what are the things happening across and how a element that is defined at one end can be used by other, or we can optimize whatever is happening. So that was required, and that was something that was not available in the organization.
Okay.
And it was with people, and when it is with people, the communication is a thing that doesn't happen as often because everybody have their own KPIs to meet, so they are running behind it. Then there is no time or proper communication happening to explain to the other, and there may be a 20 to 30% utilization that you can do and optimize the other program. So that was missing, hence the enterprise architecture
So
tool.
it was all stored in a system which is popularly called the laptop.
So it's even worse in some cases. It's the human brain that captures the most, and the laptops and the individual knowledge that was there was definitely required to be
that's a
stored.
challenge, yeah.
And one is that, and the other thing was making sure everybody understands where we are going to, so that if that picture is there, if you keep repeating it, if you keep showing it, and as a human, we latch on to pictures a lot more than the words.
Yeah, absolutely.
So those defined pictures, the to be architecture diagram, or how we are getting to which technologies are our future. And if you bring up a process and it shows an application that is scheduled to be deprecated, then obviously that it's automatic to the person to say, okay, we need to put less pressure on this or less capability on this so that we don't get affected as a business. And those are the kind of aspects that bring it up.
Right. Absolutely. I think the example that I also shared, a picture always speaks much louder, and it also remains in your memory as this. So I think, so single source of truth as they call
truth, the end state and the correlation between multiple programs.
Right.
These were the reasons we looked for a tool.
Okay, and from a importance or strategic direction point of view, how is enterprise architecture as a function positioned in your organization?
So, like in most of the organization in this part of the world, it is positioned under CIO.
Okay.
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 And its majority of its focus goes into how applications, data are enabling business processes.
Okay.
Okay,
Yeah.
so that is where we are positioned, and we serve as a consulting leg to other set of organizations which directly don't fall under CIO, may it be marketing or may it be regulatory. So we offer the consulting part to it. So that's how the enterprise architecture team is positioned in the organization.
Okay, okay, fantastic. So it is very much an integral part of the overall IT
Yes.
organization. Okay, fantastic. And I think, can you give us a flavor of the complexity that you're managing within Airtel in terms of applications, the technologies? You mentioned that there are multiple people who have stored everything in their laptops and brains. But see, if it is a smaller application or a smaller organization, maybe that suffices. For example, in my home, if I know I have only 3 laptops, I can still manage it with my brain because there are only 2 people whom I've served. So just give us a flavor of the complexity in Airtel.
Sure. I think one of the things that when I have mostly worked with the customers abroad, and once I started working with Airtel, one of the things I realized is the customer for which I used to work for, some of the big names in the world, are not even part of a circle from that perspective for Airtel. So it's like a small part of business.
Okay.
Okay. So that is the scale of business that Airtel has got, and Airtel, it's not just the consumer business, it's across, the enterprise business is also pretty huge. We are into global setup, and now we have a lot of digital services coming in, considering the IoT and the CPaaS kind of services that are coming up. So it is pretty vast from customer perspective, from individual to a small business to a large corporate to governments. So that's the customer base. Like I explained, the product suite goes from your mobility, fixed line connectivity, DTH for consumers, and then other fixed line digital services across. And then we have the complexity of serving through partners. We have a lot of partner services that get through our brand. So it is a pretty vast.
Right.
And each of those businesses, like we have, if you look for the organizations within Airtel, there are multiple of those. Like we have a data center unit, which is a different business. So it has its own CEO. We have a IT leg as well. So the IQ leg, digital leg. So there are multiple businesses. So it's pretty complex from that perspective. And then there is a scale of number of customers and
Right,
the
right.
size that comes up. So it is
Right.
pretty complex. And the IT itself is having close to 1,000 applications.
Wow.
And
Okay.
with a lot of new concepts coming up like microservices and all, it becomes more difficult because now we say to enable agility, we are creating multiple of those microservices, and each of them start to behave like an application. So we had a problem of managing applications.
Okay.
Now we have exploded applications that need to be managed. So the scale increases drastically.
Great, great. So on a lighter note, I've spent so much time with SAP that the only application I know is SAP. So I've been with, like you've been with Airtel for so long. I've been with SAP for almost 20 years. So I say, what application? There's SAP and then, yeah, maybe. But yeah, I think 1,000 is like, close to 1,000 is like hugely complex, you know, IT infrastructure plus application to be managed. And to add to the complexity, I think you are also a part of an industry which is highly regulated. I'm sure it's not just in India, but I think globally, telcos are very, very regulated business. I think government probably sees a lot of logic. They have come up with a lot of logic to make sure that it remains fairly regulated, not just in India but globally. So how does that, add to the overall complexity, and how are you supporting the overall business in managing that
So
that side of the compliance?
I think this is another part which is important. We have a tool, and so if you have a visibility of what is happening in the organization, when you have to adhere to, let's say, a simple thing that a particular set of data has to be regulated, it can only be accessed by people who have authority to do it. Now, if you don't have a tool, then it is very difficult to govern such case. Because let's say personal information of a particular customer should not be revealed. And if I don't know in which all systems host this information, it will be
Right.
difficult to contain it. There will be a leak here and there at any time.
Right.
So the tool helps us to identify which applications has it, and then it helps us to be quicker in implementing such regulation. Okay, and because we will be providing these reports, how we are managing it, and those kind of things can be enabled quicker, and you don't have to spend additional effort to just make sure it happens, because it happens organically.
Right.
So
Right.
that's definitely a thing that we are looking at, and that is something that we are trying to get to as well. We have to increase the efficiency there.
Okay, because in addition to just the IT side of it, you're saying that even the business capability of that application needs to be visible to everyone, so that data, if it is customer data, consumer data, where all it is stored, and hence that visibility is
Absolutely,
something.
yes, yes.
And by the way, the coming to the point, the tool that he's continuously referring to is LeanIX. I think we've seen in Max's presentation, as well as what Craig spoke about. That's the enterprise architecture tool that he's referring to. So coming to my favorite question, how is LeanIX helping you in addressing some of these challenges, or if you want to put it other way, how LeanIX has improved a day in life of an enterprise architect? If you can give us some examples, it will really help all of us understand the tool better. We've seen from the speakers before what's the functionality that it brings, but we would like to hear from you what's the real impact it has had on a daily basis.
So definitely it has started to, and considering the culture, the organizational culture we have got, and the industry across, it's not easy, but we have still got a good sense of what is required and how it should be achieved, and we have started to create a window for most of our stakeholders into what is happening in the organization other than what happens in their area.
So not just what is there, but also what is coming.
So what is happening in the what are the processes that are available, or what are the applications that we have? Like a simple thing, for just to accept payments, we have 4 applications, and each domain or each of the line of businesses is using one. And the moment you see that, you open it and you see there are 4 applications, they clearly understand that there is an overlap, and the architecture is clearly suggesting the one of them is the end state. So you don't have to go and sit in each of the conversation and say, this is the application you need to look at deprecating. And those kind of things are happening. And that is something that has happened more and more as we have used the tool. And other important aspect is the journey. So the technical journey, not the business process. I think we still don't have a business process tool for that matter, but the journey-wise from application, which application talks to what, that kind of journey is available, which helps us to draw that golden thread to say when a customer has started an interaction until he gets his connection, what all elements are happening, what all applications are in touch points, what are their uptime, what is the kind of capability they are using. So those kind of visibilities are definitely come up, and we have been using it well. And that has helped us to reduce the friction and take out the unnecessary steps. So the process improvements in.
Right. So one is probably the harmonization of applications across this. And do you also have the like different geographies using different applications for the same business capability? Is that something that
So
visibility is come now for?
yes, because each of those telcos operate as a different legal entity. So some of them are legal or the regulatory requirement to have them separate. Some of them are commercial because not all of those
Yeah.
entities have the same size or scale that India would have.
Okay.
But wherever there is no regulatory implication and no commercial implications, we do have applications that are used across, but it is a complex organization which has evolved over years and it will keep evolving. So you,
Okay.
at no point you can say now we have got all the applications doing the right thing, we have the same application using across, because there will be a need in a corner in a business unit which will create something.
Okay, okay, okay. Fantastic. And finally, I think there is a application view of things, which is very important. But you also touched upon the process side of it. So can you share some thoughts on how processes and applications are kind of interlinked? What's the
So I think Craig did touch about it, and even if you look at TOGAF, it is pretty clear that the process architecture comes first, the business architecture, then application and data, then we have technology. So any transformation, if it is not starting with process, I think you will spend a lot more, and the out of budget number that was shown by Max will keep going up. So that
I'm
is
not one of them. So.
so yes, so it is definitely the process, because once you get that, you touch the human element of it, and you make sure that you understand what needs to change, and some of the things don't have to change. You will only understand it if you have got a business process set up. So yes, it is something that is important. And do we do most of it? I think we have a different way of managing it for now. Can it be better? Yes. What is it? We are figuring out.
Okay, fantastic. I will come and meet you, because we have a specific way of we have a specific proposal for that particular thing. And the reason I'm saying this is because there is obviously so much interdependency between the applications and the underlying processes. So you might, as you said, there might be an application which is going end of life. You also need to make sure that the business or the process owners which are being supported by that application need to be made aware, and vice versa. Absolutely. You are changing a process, but it might mean that you are actually ending up changing a 5 application just to and in your case it could be 50 applications, because you have like that large organizations across circles, across countries. So that's the complexity that you know the overall portfolio that we are speaking about it addresses. Anything that
I
you want
think
to add?
I think I would like to ask you, Anand, how you see the market, how you see the market changing, because like I mentioned, I've seen it across, and the focus on business process and enterprise architecture hasn't been much in this geography. Is that changing? Do you see any shift in the mindset and in the market overall, at least within the India geography?
Uh, so I think the underlying need is definitely there. All organizations that we speak to, and they are right from organizations which are 100 crore, 200 crore, but want to become a 2,000 crore in the next 5 years, or the really big ones, the large enterprises. One of the things that everybody is wanting is agility. One of the things everybody is wanting is, how can my process become a competitive advantage for me? And with these imperatives in mind, I think most organizations are now creating this either a role or a department or a person whose solely responsible for enterprise architect as a function, and it has got very little to do with IT itself, but it has got a lot to do with the kind of demands that are coming in from businesses, from customers. Today, a customer doesn't want to wait for one day to get a connection, an Airtel connection, for example. Like the Formula One example we saw, a few years when it started, 1 month was fine. Then it became 1 week. Then it became 1 day. Today, I think you go and if it doesn't happen instantaneously, that customer is lost. So with these imperatives, these changing things, I think it is becoming very, very important. And the other thing that you mentioned is we are not doing this for today, but we are also planning this for future. Again, the growth imperatives, like I mentioned, I want to grow from 200 crore to 2000. That is one. I want to go into 5 geographies. I am a Delhi-based organization. Now I want to go national. I am a India-based. I want to go global. So these imperatives are now forcing a lot of organizations to look at the enterprise architecture, and hence I think it is evolving. So future is bright. And again, coming back to you, you have created now a lot of interest, enthusiasm in minds of a lot of people. What is the qualification that is required for anybody to become an enterprise architect?
See, I think
This is very, very, not part of the
that's not a problem.
discussion,
No,
but I
it's
just
something
thought
that very close. That is something very close to me. So I can speak for an hour on that. Okay.
Yes,
So,
quickly.
so, so what I personally believe is there are multiple paths to enterprise architecture, but I think what is common is making sure that you understand the area better, and then you start to understand how the overall picture works. So one of the things I used to explain whenever I used to get somebody into architecture team who was not an architect before is like, one of the examples I'll still quote it. Like, let's say you are building a castle using Lego. So you have multiple towers to be built, and you have a dome to be built, or whatever is on the top, you have a base to be built, and you will have different play cards which tell you how each of those parts has to be built.
Right.
Okay. And then you connect them with each other. You have those connection points which allow you to build a complete castle using that Lego. Now, what that play card tells you is what enterprise architect tells the whole organization how it is to happen. So if you are somebody who are able to look at multiple perspective at a given point, then definitely you are a candidate to be an enterprise architect. You may not be an expert in all of those areas, and I don't think anybody is. But if you have a visibility of those and you understand, and the other thing is it is all about stakeholder management. So you understand all of it, and you are able to tell this as a story to people, which they can understand. A regulatory doesn't understand the business numbers. A business doesn't understand IT complexity. And IT doesn't want to understand what is the regulatory's interest and what they are forcing for. This is how my system works. Okay. So you have to have those two things, the visibility of end-to-end and the way to communicate with each of these parties, then you're a good candidate to be enterprise architect. And the path is pretty simple. If you look at the T of knowledge, if you have the depth in one of the areas already, start getting the width of knowledge on other areas of the organization, and then you start as a solution architect or an enterprise architect for a domain, and you can take the coverage across enterprise after. So that's the path.
Right, and I think the advantage of becoming an enterprise architect, the way I understood, is that you get visibility across the enterprise. I think there could be very few roles which will give you that as part of IT, and I think I am very confident speaking to you that you have definitely benefited. You already mentioned, and I think all our colleagues and friends here from the industry from multiple industries would have surely benefited from this. So thank you very much,
And
Uday.
thank you for the opportunity.
Thanks a lot.
Sure.
Thank you. Thank you. It was a great pleasure. Thanks.